It's Sunday, October 21st, 2012 at about 12:52 p.m. And I don't know if you remember the first time I moved into my place here. I made a video called "The Day I Become an Adult" because it was such a meaningful day, the day that I move out under from my parents' umbrella or their wing and take flight and become my own person. And it was the most amazing time in my life thus far, because I got to do so much of stuff that I wanted to do without like restrictions, without like curfews and other such stuff. I went to bed whenever I want. I woke up whenever I want. I went out with friends like at 11 p.m. and returned from the beach at 2 a.m. and all this other stuff. And I got my motorcycles, and an obsession that I quenched after years without my parents knowing, and all this other cool stuff that I got to do, and I got to be myself. And that was like for the first semester of graduate school. Then my I don't know if it was my girlfriend or my ex-girlfriend. I don't know what our status was at the time. She was a weird girl, but it's okay. So anyway, so my significant other was talking about marriage with me, like the topic of marriage and whether or not I wanted to get married with her and whatnot. And I was like, I'm interested. And so that discussion came up, and unlike me being able to get my motorcycle without my parents' help or without them even knowing, marriage required that I asked my parents for their help, because in our culture, like, parents do like 95% of the mingling, flirting, and coalescing into a single unity that would give permission for these two beloveds to share their love, or for their love to be acknowledged, which is really stupid. But anyway, so I needed their help. So I went back home and I was like, "Hey, mom and dad, I'm thinking about marriage. I do have someone in mind. I would like to get married and the such." And from then on, like, this like cycle began of like or a series of uncomfortable discussions or comfortable discussions with them about this sentimental topic of marriage began. And it had its ups and downs and twists and turns and high points and low points, and like it was just really, really stressful, because I didn't want to lose her. But anyway, like at a certain point, I was still living here. My parents were like, if you want our help, like a full commitment with this thing, then we need to know that you're committed to us. So we need you to move back here to the house. And I was like, and I like thought about it for a second, like, how much do I love this girl to leave this wonderful place I have with an extraordinary roommate, extraordinary landlord, where there's a place in the garage for my bike, where there's an extremely beautiful mirror, and just I love this room very much. It's small, but it's cozy. And it's I don't know. It's just a whole lot of me that I can express. So anyway, I left this place for the sake of her, and so my parents would be more on board with helping me get to her. And then that didn't go so well, due to various reasons, or a series of unfortunate events. And soon I was simply stuck back at home without accomplishing the goal that I went home for, which was being married with her. So So now, like, I didn't know how to ask my parents without infuriating them about, can I move back here? Because then it would seem like the only reason I moved there was because I needed their help. And when I no longer needed their help, I just left them, and so I didn't want it to make it seem like that, although it was kind of like that. Um, so anyway, so I was still living at home, and about a week ago, or more than a week ago, my dad suffered a heart attack, a massive heart attack, and I'm thankful that I was home at the time because I was the one who called 911. I was the one who was in the ambulance with him, who stayed overnight at the hospital, who went back and forth and making sure that he was getting what he needed, like talking to the doctors and all this other stuff, and brought him back home and got his medications, like organized his medications based on dosage and timing and all this other stuff. So it was amazingly accurate. I'm thankful I got to experience all that, because it was really inspirational, and it was amazing to be able, like, to be a healthcare practitioner before my time, before I'm actually out of school. So anyway, so I'm thankful I was there for that. Academically, I was suffering tremendously because of not only the emotional aspects of the failure of my marriage, but my father suffering a heart attack, and the demand that it placed on me, being the eldest son, to do the simple things from shopping to figuring out the paperwork for the medical billing and like all this other stuff. To Sammy. Sammy went to a school in Miami for religious purposes. Like my mom wanted him to study religious stuff and school, and so that was the school that they found in Miami. Terrible choice. Not only was it like 35 miles away and took like 2 hours to get there and 2 hours back on the bus, but after like 2 months, the school said they could no longer provide transportation because he was the only reason they had to go that far, and the driver didn't want to do that. So that got cut, and then I was in charge of getting him back to his elementary school, which was 2 blocks away. So I got that done. So like that's one less headache. Now he's doing much better in school. He's actually learning stuff and whatnot. So anyway, what I'm saying is that academically, emotionally, family-wise, mentally, like there's, at this point, I am still in this phase. I'm breaking down, but at the same time, I'm trying not to break down. But like, this has got to be one of the most stressful points and most demanding points that requires the utmost focus and concentration that I've faced thus far. And I'm at a point where academically I may sink from this master's program, or like I need to either, like, it's do or die right now. And so that's the kind of position that I've been in. And I cried several times driving to the hospital. Like every time I went to see Dad from home, like the drive to the hospital, realizing that my father was at the hospital, and like, I don't know, it was just like, I've never seen him as an old man until then. Like he's I guess he's not young. He's like 58, but I never like mentally saw him as an old man, because he's just always working, and he's like active and stuff like that. And so, but that time, seeing him in the bed like that, it was just like, it was like so vulnerable and like so dependent, and I just realized, like, oh my God, he's like a part of the geriatric population now, or whatnot. It just that was the first time I saw him like that, and it was also like the whole hospital experience, in that It was the first time I saw my father cry because it was like he he was saying about all the things that he wished he could have done for us but couldn't do because he had to work, and the time he wished he could have given to us, um, and he just wanted to see us succeed. So that was a very special moment in my life to see my father cry, and I cried with him because um, I realized how much he sacrificed for us. Like he worked two jobs for the past 21 or 22 years, and I don't know. It was a bonding moment. I guess a lot of bonding moments. So